right. So welcome back. I should say, not just welcome. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. Glad to be back. Very excited to be here.
Yeah. So for those listeners who have not heard Mike's episode, I just gave you the episode number. Go back and listen to that. And now we're going to kind of fast forward, and I'll start with the most logical question, Mike, is why did you go full time, right? Because there's been a lot of change since your last podcast with us.
Yeah, I mean, it did take a while for me to make the jump, obviously, because it's a big change in my life and what I was used to. Being used to getting that paycheck every week from an employer. Now it's going to be full time in my hands. So I felt comfortable where I was at as far as how many deals I've done, how much knowledge I've picked up over the last couple of years, and I was ready and definitely confident to take it on my own. So
you mentioned deals. You and I said some of this in the intro, but just so everybody kind of stays on the same page with this, you as a high six associate, which you started at, you didn't come in and upgrade it. You started right off the gate,
right,
with high six. You mentioned deals. I know they've seen you in some testimonial videos, I'm sure, on the site and elsewhere. Yep. But just bring us up to date. Like how many deals right now do you have active payday 1, 2s, and 3s happening on? And then how many maybe in the hopper? Like give us a screenshot of what's going on.
I have 4 that are still going right now. Paydays, and 1 is closing. Actually, we are in the next couple months here. It's going to be the end of the contract, and we'll be getting our payday 3s out on that one. And in the hopper, I have so many going on ever since I went full time that are going to be coming up here on the market and hopefully gaining those payday 1s. So very excited for what's to come. Definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about that deal you just mentioned, because this is good. We get all the time. I'm talking about like on Bigger Pockets in our support department here at Smart Real Estate Coach all the time. What happens if a buyer can't cash out? What if I don't have time? What am I going to do? So you have a situation, I'll give them a 10,000 foot view, and then you tell them what you did. You have a situation where very amicably, the tenant buyers are paying, and tell me if I'm wrong on any of this, but they basically said, oops, I can't buy it. They screwed up their credit still, I think is what it was. Yeah. And give us the dates and the timelines and what you did, because it's fine.
Yeah, this was one of my first ones. This property was, I had a short term on this one. It was only 24 months, but the numbers were working out as far as profit-wise for us because it was on a 15-year loan. And I always want to point that out because the principal pay down is huge on it. It's crazy. Over $1,100 a month. Yeah. So we definitely took it on, put a buyer in there who should have got financed within 18 months. So I knew it was going to be a tight window, but yeah, we ran into a little issue there with them, right? They didn't fulfill their side of the contract, which was to fix their credit and go through the credit enhancement program and on all that to become mortgage ready. And they just had some life events come up in the last 2 years that really just set them back, and they kind of gave up. I think that's really what it was. So I'm not worried about it. We're in right on the house. And all we're doing is just putting on the market to sell it conventionally, and we should definitely profit quite a bit on this house on a short term.
Yeah, so when we started it, just remind me, and we talked about so many deals. When we started it, we probably collected what on payday 1?
It was 12,000 payday 1.
Okay, payday 2 is just the spread is roughly how much?
It's roughly 300, maybe a little bit $20 less, give or take.
So just $7,000-ish.
Right.
Okay, and then the principal pay down is like $1,100 a month.
Right, and we're going to be in this probably the full 24 months the way it's looking like. So, that's another 24. 26 grand maybe around there on the principal pay down.
Just that alone.
Just that alone. So you have, and that's without whatever we marked it up, right? The back end for the payday 3. So
and then we actually gave it to a realtor, right? So these guys understand. We could have done a FSBO. We could have done, I think you might have even tried a FSBO. Then you did a realtor, correct?
Right. I tried it early on. I just kind of felt that the competition right now with all the realtors, they're just not going to show the house. So I figured, hey, why don't we just I mean, the value on it is very good. So it should be okay if we marked it up, is what I'm saying, because where it's at, the area is very competitive, and it's a 5 bedroom. In the price range that it's at, you're not going to find a 5 bedroom. So I felt
Yeah.
like we could definitely make something happen.
Cool.
Uh,
So I wanted them to hear that. Is there any other nuances with that deal? Because I wanted them to hear that all too often question I get.
No, I mean the only I think difficulty part about it is that they are on time with all their payments, right? So I can't really like get them out, evict them, and get them out early and sell it early if I wanted to.
But they let you
Uh,
show it, right? That's what I meant amicable for.
yeah. No, they let me show it. We had an open house last Saturday for the house, so they definitely are cooperating. They know that you know they messed up on their end, so they know that they
Yeah.
have to cooperate and just complete the lease. So.
I've had that a lot, Mike. I've had people say, okay, I'll give you two examples that I can think of as you said that. One was two women that were living together. I think
Mhm.
they were engaged, and then they broke up. So the other one called me in tears and said, I can't do it alone. I got qualified with her. Here's the keys. Like, it wasn't a bad, it just life happens.
Right.
We had another one that called and said, I've told the story a lot, but he called and said, it was a big mortgage payment too, and he missed one. And I went, oh, something happened, because he always pays. He said, my dad-in-law had his second or third, maybe, heart attack in Chicago, and here we are in New England. We're leaving. I mean, literally, the kids, they had mini ponies that this place they were going to buy.
Right.
So we had to redo that. But we had like a 9-year term on that thing. So I didn't stress on it, but this stuff happens. You just have to know how to pivot. So,
Right.
all right. So speaking of pivoting, let's change gears here a little bit. So
Okay.
what would you say? I'm going to ask you a 2-part question. Biggest aha or lesson when you went part-time in February of 17, because I know I flew out there as part of the High Six program, and then you kind of launched your business. And then maybe a different aha or lesson after you went full-time. And I know it hasn't been that long. It's been like 3 months or something.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest aha, I think, in the beginning was I kind of thought it was going to be. I mean, in the beginning, you're just worried about sellers and acquiring properties, right? But I wasn't really thinking too far in as far as you know the upkeep of basically your portfolio. Like once you
Yeah.
have multiple homes, and that was the part that I really didn't think about. I'm not saying it's hard; it's actually pretty easy, but it's just another aspect that wasn't expecting or thinking about, I should just say. But other than that, I mean, uh, it is what you say it is. I mean, as long as you're following the program and the steps that you teach, I mean, definitely it is what it is. So
Yeah.
that was my a big aha too. Yeah.
Well, I always say it's not brain science, and that's why I say it. How
Right.
about you made your move? You made a couple comments to me in passing, and maybe there's other things in your head. Like what's the biggest aha or lesson or nugget since you went full time? Now you're at full time, so these guys get a visual. You're sitting in a home office right outside your front door, off the garage. You've got a newborn, not a newborn anymore, year and a half.
Year and a half.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. So talk about that and anything else surrounding it.
Well, I think the biggest challenge for me going full time was juggling my schedule. I wasn't used to having so much time to myself. Uh, I mean, before I had such a crazy schedule, I was making calls on the road, when I was coming, to and from work. So it was a big challenge just to make sure to schedule it all out and to make sure I can get things done. And then, of course, juggle, you have more time with family. So they kind of, in a way, expect you to be with them more. So you kind of have to juggle that a little bit more. So it's more on the
Yeah.
more on the personal side, I think, than anything that I had to get used to and schedule out of my week correctly. But I think I got that down now. I know it's always going to be evolving, as I get more busy and as my business grows. But I think I have it down to a productive and a way, or I should say, a efficient way of completing my week and getting my things done.
And you, that just came to mind, or sparked this to come to mind. You were in for one of your visits again. I think you've been there twice or 3 times, but you
Yep.
were in and you looked at Zach's schedule, the way he time blocks. And I know you took some nuggets from that, but just the office visits as an associate, I think you always get a nugget or two. Everybody does.
Yeah, I've been there 3 times now. Every single time I've been picking up different things, just trying to model and emulate everything you guys are, doing over there. Um, is what I'm trying to do over here, and just build it and scale it to where you guys are at is my goal. So yes, I did look at Zach's calendar and just take notes on how he set it all up and color coded everything. And I know it's a simple thing, to think about, and do, but I never really did that before because I was full time and my time block was the 10 hours at work and then
Yeah.
the 2 hours I'm driving home. There was no in between. So
Yeah, I hope they get the visual on that. And then I got a comment about schedule, so I'm going to try to not get ahead of myself. But just the visual of 1 hour commute in the morning, 1 hour commute at night, and then got a job. I mean, there's a lot of listeners, and if that's you, and you don't love your job, it's not like Mike hated his job, right, Mike? I mean, you didn't hate your job,
right.
but you didn't want to do that ideally for the rest of your life.
Right. I mean, I was already there for a little over 10 years. I mean, I liked what I did. It was very time consuming for sure. And secondly, it was just too stressful. I mean, it was just something that I couldn't do forever. So I
Yeah, and
needed
you get
to
to see
step up.
your son more often than your wife more. I mean, that's just there's a lifestyle thing here.
Yes, exactly.
The second, so anyway, my point was, if you're listening to this and you have a job and you don't love it, there's nothing stopping you. I just did an interview with Jeff Schechter. You guys will hear that episode after this one, so it'll come out soon. But he talked about mindset. He's 62 years old, and he just talked about mindset and all these other things. But he talked about just making a damn move, for goodness sakes. Like, if you've been saying, I'd like to do that, oh, Mike's thing sounds, well, then just do it. Like, make a move, make a move in some direction, so you do something. And then the only other thing I was going to say on schedule, Mike, is there was an article that was kind of sent around Slack, the associate private Slack channel. And I don't know who posted it, but it was kind of habits of billionaires. There was like 6 or 8 of them. I don't know if you saw this, but one of them was they don't use to-do lists. They use schedule. Why? Because if it's in the schedule, it gets done. If it's on a to-do list, you just rewriting lists and pushing things forward. And I did that forever. So it's more of a habit. I just started doing that myself recently when going through that, making sure it's in there. And if it's not in there, I don't do it.
Right. I have my schedule in there, and then I mean, every day I also have a breakdown of the top things I need to get done for that day as well. So I'll have scheduled things, and within the schedule, I'll have my top, 3 or 4 things that I want to get done for that day in front of me as well. And I actually handwrite that, in the morning first thing or at night before for the next day.
Awesome. And then I said it in the intro. I think I did. I might be losing it here, but about you became one of our certified coaches. So now you're coaching some of the other associates. I think. I mean, I've got my board here. I think. What are you at? Like 6 or 7?
7, yeah.
So
7.
7 people. I think coaching's cool. You can give me your opinion on this, but there's no way to be sharp and effective without being sharp and effective on your own game. So coaching, in my opinion, improves your own business. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that going in. I was actually, we kind of went over that before, and I was actually really excited about just that aspect alone, because you're going to sharpen everything that you already know. And not only that, every deal is not the same, right? So
Right.
people are going to be bringing deals to you. You're going to be learning on the go as well, and coming together and helping people out. I mean, that's what it's all about, and trying to get everybody with common goals to the same, to the same level. And I'm excited where I'm at now. I'm excited where the associates are right now that I'm helping. They got a lot of bright things coming up here in the future. So it's been great.
Yeah, and if they want to, if you guys are listening and you already registered for the QLS event, great. You'll meet Mike there, and you'll decide if it's something you want to pursue further. Fantastic. If you already registered and you didn't get your guest ticket, get it, because $100 is ridiculous. And you can, before we sell out, because we're going to sell out again. We say it every year, and we do it every year. Lastly, if you haven't registered, you better get registered, because if you have the QLS video program, it's free, for goodness sakes. And if you don't, it's under $500. You get one idea in a hallway that would pay you more than $500 to get your ticket there. 2 things then on that note, Mike. One is, I mentioned in passing just then, the Slack channel. That's like a 24-hour mastermind, if you will, with all the associates. If you could comment on that, and then maybe comment on why, if they're a listener, they need to have their butt in the seat at the QLS Live coming up.
Well, the Slack channel alone, I mean, it's one of the greatest things I think we've kind of put together as a team, as far as communication and constantly staying on top of everything. I mean, everyone's throwing out ideas and things that they've went through for that day, or if they have questions, everyone's kind of helping each other out. on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's fantastic. And then QLS, I mean, for the price and what you're getting to, I mean, the knowledge you could pick up there and the people you meet, I mean, just like you said, in the hallway or going to dinner, I mean, just a little nugget you can get anywhere at one of those places. Just being there for the event is priceless. So I think it's definitely need to be there this coming September.
I'm gonna throw out an update that you don't know about yet, because I'm gonna go over it tonight in the mastermind call, which we all talk every Thursday. But one of the things we do there, the first piece you do know about, is the associate day. We call it now the associate development day. That's the day before QLS, where only associates come.
Right.
This year we're a lot bigger, so this year it's going to be everybody's together for half a day, and then the second half I'm with you in the high six. But what's cool is, if you're a listener and you're not an associate, you can actually shadow that day for $499. I mean, it's like paying for a $25,000 mastermind, being a fly in the back of the room and listening to all the stuff that's going on with the associates. That's pretty cool. Mike, if you remember, we did that special seating for, it's a lot more expensive, but we did it for, they could sit in and listen to the high six mastermind, and they loved it. And so we offered it again for this, and I'll make sure I put a link there for that.
Yeah, actually, I'll make a comment on that. One of my associates that I'm coaching right now, they actually were one of the flies in the room there on the high six.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and they really enjoyed it. So,
awesome.
Great praise there for that event.
That's
And for
awesome.
offering
I didn't think of that. So on the mastermind call tonight, we'll probably revisit that with everybody and say, look, reach out to people that didn't have that opportunity. That's good.
Right.
Good feedback. Any other nuggets that I forgot to ask you, Mike, that you want to share besides these guys getting to the QLS? I mean, I'll tease you with some speakers. Aside from the keynote being Rudy Rudiger, the Rudy from the movie Rudy.
Wow.
And by the way, if you say, well, I saw the movie, his talk, his keynote is actually, I'm not gonna say it has nothing to do with it, but he has 3 other life events that
Wow.
he's created, one of them being the movie. But the movie is not what the story is about. The story is more how the heck he got that done, and the persistence and what the grind it took. And then he has another one, I won't tell you what it is. And then he just had a third one where I talked to him on his cell phone 2 weeks ago. He talked about a third one he pulled off. And this is just how the guy operates. So it's going to be a cool keynote. And then we have Note School, Eddie Speed's team, so that you can go out and buy more property, even if you're buying them on terms, and get creative with paper. We've got Ty Crandall from Credit Suite. We have some really, really cool people, and Stephen Westner from Predictive ROI and Onward Nation. So right there was a $5,000 seminars in and of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, each and every one of those guys, from what it sounds, I mean, I don't know much about Rudy because I never heard him, but I'm very familiar with the rest of them. And yeah, like you said, you could pick up so much just in this QLS event from those guys.
Yeah,
you're definitely going to get your money's worth.
Good. Now, don't tell me you haven't seen the Rudy movie, have you?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. I've seen the movie, but I haven't seen him speak and kind of do his thing in front of people. So
good show. Well, thanks for being on again, buddy, and I look forward to seeing you for QLS Live.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.